The reality is that this headset has all the quality and style of a £300 headset, but it's less than half the price. So what's the catch? This is the brand new Logitech G522 headset. And if at any point in this video you see something you like or want to check it out for yourself, we've dropped a link down below. We were invited to try out the G522 earlier, and we've been using it for the last couple of weeks now, and generally, it's superb. However, there's a couple of things that you do need to know before you think about picking it up. First things first though, this video is not sponsored. We haven't been paid to say nice things, but for full transparency, we were invited to an early access demo event where we were provided with a sample headset for review purposes. We're also Logitech G partners, as you can tell from the jacket, so we do have our own vanity link and discount code, but as always, this never sways our opinions. We make honest content to help you make informed decisions. So let's jump into it. Let's kick things off with a good old-fashioned unboxing. So we've jumped into the studio for the unboxing of the Logitech G522. At the time of filming this is brand new. It's not even out yet. You don't know it exists. So we're going to see if we can get in. And unfortunately, I have the reputation of, and it's a phrase I'm not particularly proud of, I'm being the box destroyer. So I tend to destroy packaging as we go. So we'll see if we can get in this without destroying it. No promises, but let's go. Okay, so we have a number of sticky tabs, 1, 2, and 1 on the bottom there. So I assume this is going to be a front opening box. That tends to be what you get with Logitech G headsets. The packaging, I'll bring it close to the mic. Don't know if you can pick that up. Nice and smooth, glossy packaging. Logitech always does good packaging, so kind of what you'd expect. So we'll go in, sticky pads 1. I'm gonna take it all the way off. Boom, we'll put that on the table. There, out of the way. Sticky pad 2 at the bottom. Not sure if you got that through the microphone. I am wearing a lapel mic, so it does pick up some audio, but not all of it. That's the reason why I've got it up to my chest. So, and sticky pad 3. There we go. Hopefully, that is it. We're in. I will point it to you guys, and then I'll turn it around and see what we're looking at. So, front opening, lift, and there we go. So as you tend to get on Logitech packaging, we have a little bit of information, technical information. Tends to be word light, iconography heavy, so obviously it's easy to understand in multiple regions, but it's the usual things telling you what connectivities you've got, wireless, Bluetooth, USB, where to get the software from, what's going to be in the box, and so on. But we'll move on from that. As we always tend to get as well, we have nice Logitech G motif emblazoned packaging. This is kind of a papery fabric, which is sustainable. We actually got told that the products and the packaging are made out of as much sustainable material as they can. Logitech are looking to improve that as we go. So we've moved away from the plastic wrap that you usually get. Paper across the top, and there's the money shot. This is the Logitech G522. I'm actually genuinely impressed with this, so it looks really nice. This is my sort of color scheme anyway. White, gray, minimal, neutral. That's the kind of thing that I like, which I can then accent with my own colors. And this has, as you can see on the side, it's not lit up because it's just been taken out of the box, but 2 LED panels. These use light sync RGB, so you can use them to be the, I don't know if it's got the coloring on, yeah, there we go. You can have the purple and pink colors that come as standard, matches the G502 X Plus mouse, or you can fully customize that to have your own colors on the side. There is nice cushioned pads. The ear pads are really soft, really smooth. And the good thing is the cups themselves, as you can see there and there, obviously this thing is quite flexible as well. The cushions have quite a bit of space in them. We were asking them and saying that's to account for things like earrings and things like that, but it's also useful for people that may have larger ears, just want a bit of space for extra comfort, or hearing aids. All good, all good. Headband, nice and flexible, can be taken off and replaced as well. So I think there will be additional Logitech headbands, but if you've got anything, say, an Etsy special or something like that, they do exist. If you want to customize it yourself, you can do that too.
Now, on the side, we have one cup controls everything. A power switch, a Bluetooth button, a volume rocker, and a mute button for the microphone. They all have different shapes and form factors. So a smooth switch, kind of elliptical shaped. We have a round circular button for Bluetooth, a volume rocker, which is a wheel, and then another elliptical. I don't know if elliptical's the right word. Elongated circle, we'll go with that one, for the mute button, which has texture on it. The reason for that is every button has a different shape, so you know what you're touching. Rather than having them all following the same form factor, if you can't see it, you don't know what you're pressing. So you know each time a different button with a different shape or a different texture, you know what you're doing with it. Okay, so that's the headset. Looks pretty nice. Let's jump back into the packaging. So the paper out. We have, I assume, maybe just one more thing to take out. Yes, there we go. So box is empty. We have the internal box. This tends to house the other two parts, which is usually a dongle and a cable, but I assume a microphone as well. Oh, there you go, it shows it on the front. Microphone, dongle, cable. So let's take these apart. So there is the G522 USB dongle. That is USB-A, so straight into the PC. That controls your Lightspeed wireless. And then we jump inside. How do we do this? There we go, nice and simple. Product information, we don't need to go through that. You know what that is, so that can go straight back in there. The microphone. Do you know, this actually impressed me when we got hands-on with this. We got invited to Logitech's HQ to get hands-on with the microphone, and it impressed me not because, obviously, it's a good quality microphone. That stuff's massively important. And I'm probably being a little bit complacent by taking that for granted, but just look at how flexible that is. And if you want it properly into a shape, you can mold it into a shape, it stays there, but it moves around quite freely. I'm a big fan of that. But the microphone has really good quality, and there's an LED in the end of it as well. So if you're muted, you can see when you're muted. There's none of that giving a full squad rules and commands of how we're going to approach this fight to realize that you've been muted for the last 2 minutes. You can see now, which is nice. And then the final thing in the box is the USB-A to USB-C charger cable. You can use that for charging, and you can use it directly to plug in. So if you want to play on a console or something like that and you don't want to use Bluetooth or wireless, you can run your audio straight through the USB cable. So that is it, the Logitech G522 headset. Let's review this bad boy.
So that's what it looks like, and that's what's in the box. Now, let's take a closer look with our review. Design and build quality. We'll start with design, as this is one of the easiest segments to cover when it comes to a Logitech G headset. They pretty much always nail it, and that's definitely the case with the G522. This headset sits in that sort of in-betweener area of the Logitech G universe. On one side, you've got the power and simplicity of the esports ready pro ranges, and on the other side, you have the attention to aesthetics of the beautiful Aurora range, and the G522 sits somewhere in the middle of those. The form factor and the RGB lighting give it the style of the Aurora range, but the quality hardware and the software means it performs just as well as the Pro range too. Simply put, the G522 looks stunning. The headset was inspired by the G733, and you can see that immediately. But the G522 has definitely picked up where the G733 left off. And I can't exactly say what it is about the G733, but personally, I'm not really a fan of that headset. It doesn't really do anything wrong, it's just never really appealed to me. And whilst this looks very similar to that headset, I can't help but just like this so much more. Maybe it's the fact that it's thinner and smoother in the right places, or possibly the fact that it's less bulky overall, but it's almost definitely helped by the RGB lighting panels on the side of the headset. So these panels use customizable light sync technology, and instantly they remind me of the G502X Plus mouse, which I love, so it's not surprising. I love this one too. If you've got one of those mice, then this headset fits perfectly with that. In fact, at our product demo, they placed the G522 headset and the G502X Plus mouse with a G515 TKL keyboard, and whew, that was a mighty fine setup. We actually got to see some of the evolution of this headset during 8-hour briefing too. The product team shared some of their work in progress art with us, which gave us a nice look behind the curtain at the development process. And that actually opened my eyes a little too, because if I was designing a headset, I'd want all my buttons to be minimal and uniform, more like the Astro headset, like the same sort of sizing, same sort of shapes. But that's not the case with the G522. Each major button gives you a different form factor, a different shape. One button clicks, for example, whilst the next one slides. One's a roller wheel, whilst one's circular in shape and the other one's a little bit more elongated, etc., etc. And this is all for usability. How many times have you hit a button that you didn't mean to press on your headset because it felt the same as another? Having a range of buttons means that that's less likely to happen. So there's less chance of you powering down your headset, for example, when you're trying to crank the volume up. And you should probably get used to those buttons too. Logitech are deploying a universal control scheme across their headsets going forward, meaning that all headsets will start to have the same buttons with the same functions in the same places, which I suppose is great on the surface, but it's a kind of a slight inconvenience for people like me with headsets released before this standard was adopted. I'm used to my A50X buttons being on the right, and now they'll have a different form factor and they'll all be on the left. But I suppose whenever you make uniformity in a space where variety existed previously, you'll always have to inconvenience someone, so just is what it is. Other details that we noticed that are worth pointing out: if you have larger ears or have hearing or listening aids, or maybe you just like a little extra space for comfort on your ears, then good news. The cavities on the G522's ear cups, the space just in there, that's larger than on previous headsets, so this should help with all of that. The product team actually told us that the headset was designed to factor in those that wear glasses or have earrings as well, and the fact that new softer fabrics have been used on both the ear cups and the headband, as well as the headset being lightweight. This weighs in at just 290 grams. That should all help in making this headset more accessible to more people. Connectivity and software. As briefly mentioned already, the G522 has light sync technology. You'll see that the headset has an RGB panel on the outside of each ear cup. This is much bigger and pronounced than the G733 headset that it draws inspiration from, and it definitely adds to the overall vibe of the headset, if RGB is your jam, obviously. So these panels each house 4 programmable LEDs, which can be programmed to use any one of a staggering 16.8 million colors. So you can make this baby match your setup, whatever your color scheme. The lighting does impact on the battery life of the headset though, but it's still impressive with and without it. If you have your lighting on, then you can get around 30 hours out of a full charge, but then if you turn them off, that ramps up to an impressive 70 hours. That's nearly 3 full days of constant play. And on the subject of battery and charging, we were also told about Logitech G's commitment to sustainability, which naturally included using recyclable materials in the products and in the packaging, but it also included a new battery health feature too, which caps charges at 80%. Without going into too much detail about charging techniques, that basically means that your batteries last longer, so we have less batteries going into landfill site. Logitech G have partnered with iFixit too, meaning there'll be a user manual detailing on how to replace any faulty parts that you might have with your headset, including batteries. And that's all going to be on the iFixit website, and you can even order replacement parts, including batteries, directly from iFixit too. Now, onto the main functions of the headset. The G522 is a tri-mode headset, which means you can use it across Lightspeed wireless, Bluetooth, and USB connections. Naturally, wireless is recommended for the best latency, but having Bluetooth means you can use your headset across portable devices, consoles, and phones easily too. One thing to remember though is that the G522 doesn't have dual device mixing, as we've seen in previous Logitech headsets. This has modes switching and not mixing. Basically, that means if you want to use wireless on your PC and then have Bluetooth to connect to your phone, you can. You just have to choose which one you want to be connected at any one time. In terms of software, you can use the headset with both the Logitech G Hub desktop and mobile apps, allowing you to edit your settings whilst you're at your setup and when you're on the go. We got early access to a new build of G Hub, so we could tinker with the G522 settings to film this content. Obviously, as we film this, the world doesn't even know that the G522 exists yet, but we can confirm that it works with G Hub exactly as you'd expect if you've ever used G Hub before. G Hub is where you can tweak all of your audio and mic EQ settings, as well as customize the light sync RGB profile. The onboard lighting is easy to customize, really easy to customize to be fair. You can choose to be fully freestyle with the color scheme, or you can use one of the existing presets. Luckily for me, the default option called Logitech G Pulsar Point is perfectly matched to my setup with the pinks and the blues. So I eventually just reverted to that and use that because that works for me. And if you have an immature sense of humor, like me, you can even use G Hub to throw in some comedy soundboard effects for use on the headset too. If you've used G Hub before, you might be aware of Blue Voice, and that works with the G522 as well, allowing you to customize your mic settings with a range of VSTs, which we'll come back to in the next segment. And then all of that is stored directly on board the device. Previously, you had to run it through a PC to use it, or even just tweak your settings, but this means that you can play on consoles, phones, portable devices, or any other device that's not a PC with a mic that's benefiting from audio treatment, giving you a more professional sounding mic wherever you use it. Mic and audio quality. Blue Voice gives us the perfect transition from software in to mic and audio quality. The microphone on the G522 is the same one that we raved about in our Astro A50 and A50X reviews, a 16-bit 48 kHz mic that sounds far better than any other headset mic that I've ever heard. It gives warm, deep and bassy tones that other headset mics can only dream about, and Logitech G's product team took pride in letting us know it's the highest quality mic in a gaming headset, and honestly, you can hear it. And it gets even better when you start to combine it with Blue Voice's capabilities. You can customize your settings and clean up your mic audio with a number of VSTs for background noise reduction, a noise gate, a compressor, de-essers, a limiter, and even 10-band and parametric even EQs if you want to get that in depth. And like I said before, that's all stored directly onto your headset. And for those moments when you don't want to be heard, you can mute your mic at the touch of a button. Oh, that's it. And the mic even has a little LED. You probably can't see it through the camera, but there's a little red LED to signify when you're muted too. So there's less chance of you getting frustrated at squad mates for not responding to comms that they clearly will have never heard because you were muted all along. We haven't done a mic comparison in this video, but if that's something that you like to hear with the G522 and other headsets, then do let us know in the comments down below. If enough people want to hear it, we can capture it for you. As for audio quality, these babies sound really good. They have 40mm synchronized Pro G drivers, which once again is on par with Astro A50 level specs. They deliver the mid-range well, as you'd expect, but they also hit those deeper, bassier notes really well too. Cheaper headsets often tend to sound a little tinny or muddy when there's a lot going on at once, but the G522 doesn't have that problem for me. Not that this headset is overly cheap, but it is a lot cheaper than the top-end headsets in the Logitech range. Now, don't get me wrong, it absolutely doesn't have that fully rounded out audio profile of a headset that costs twice as much, which I suppose we all would expect. But I would go as far as saying that this headset probably has the best pound for pound quality to value ratio out of all of Logitech G's headsets. One reason for that could be down to the self-contained acoustic modules contained within the headset cavities. Basically, the audio you hear from the drivers in the headset is influenced by the cavities that they sit in. So the housing for the buttons and the wiring for the mics is different from one side to the other, which means that each cup will have differences in audio. They might only be tiny, but they are undoubtedly there. So to counter this, Logitech have walled off sections within each side of the headset to ensure that audio is delivered in a uniform fashion. In reality, it's It's hard to say how much of an impact this actually has, especially when you compare that to an immediately apparent upgrade like a driver overhaul, like when we upgraded from neodymium to Pro G graphene drivers, for example. But well, I'll take all the audio improvements I can get, however small they might be. At the end of the day, though, it's just a scam, and we told Logitech in our face-to-face session. Okay, by that, I mean that self-contained acoustic modules is an unfortunate acronym, as it spells out scam, but big GG to the Logitech G team for seeing the funny side of what we're trying to get at. And they actually told me that they'd picked up on that too, and luckily it was just a production name. So by the time this video launches, that will have probably been changed. Price and value. This is probably an important part of the video for a lot of people. So let's just get straight into it. The G522 headset has an RRP of £139.99 and €169.99. And that price, considering everything that this headset has, is not bad at all. Let's take a look at how that compares to other Logi headsets. It's the exact same price as the G733, which this blows out of the water across the board. And it's considerably cheaper than the likes of a Pro X Wireless, the G735 from the Aurora range, and the Astro A30 Lightspeed. Naturally, those headsets are slightly different offerings and are aimed at different markets, but they aren't a world away from the G522. Even looking at similar headsets from SteelSeries and Razer, and the price still stays competitive. Naturally, if you're looking for something less than £100, then you can get cheaper, but you need to start to make sacrifices, especially if you want Lightspeed wireless and all the other bells and whistles. Then 100%, I mean this, do not sleep on the G522. Our conclusion. So we like nice things, and gaming is a big part of our lives, so we often preface our conclusions with a value warning. We might be happy to spend big. That doesn't necessarily mean that you are. Like, for example, the A50X that I use would cost you a cool £360, whilst the A50 Gen 5 that Bibby uses is £290. They are great products, but are premium, and for good reason. But with the G522, we don't have that issue at all. At less than £140 for a top spec headset with wireless, Bluetooth, best-in-class microphone, Pro G audio drivers, onboard Blue voice audio treatment, and more, this is a steal. All of that with a 30 to 70 hours battery life is genuinely amazing. We talked about the Gen 5 being a great option for marathon streams previously, but this has nearly 3 times that battery power. The reality is that this headset has all the quality and style of a £300 headset, but it's less than half the price. So what's the catch? The only reason I'm not jumping all in on the G522 and having this as my primary headset of choice is one I've come across with most wireless headsets. I have a complex content setup that makes wireless a little tricky for me. But if I was just using this to play games or to jump into a Discord call or take a Teams meeting without needing to content capture or do any other contenty bits in between, which is what I'd expect most people ever need, then honestly, I would jump at this. At $139.99, this headset is a steal, if you ask me. The only real negative that I can see is that whilst it's a tri-mode headset with wireless, Bluetooth, and USB connections all possible, the G522 uses mode switching, not mixing. That means that I can't connect to my PC and take a call on my phone at the same time in the same headset, like I can with the more expensive Astro headsets. Instead, I have to connect to my PC or my phone one at a time, but that's more of a nice to have and not really a deal breaker, or at least it isn't for me. So that is our thoughts, but we'd love to hear what you think. Do you think this is good value for less than £140? Could you see yourself getting the G522? Please do feel free to drop us a comment down below. And if you haven't already, please click that like button. Obviously, hitting the like button means more people see the content, which means we get more opportunities to make more content like this for you guys going forward. And once again, the link to the G522 is in the text down below, and feel free to use our code, that's code ice cream, which will save yourself some cash if you want to pick up this headset, and it also supports us in the process. But that's all she wrote for now. We will see you next time, and in the meantime, make sure you guys stay frosty. Yeah.